And welcome everyone to LoneStarVarsity.com. I'm Zach Long. This is Phil Torino. It is time to preview high school boys basketball playoffs. Girls are in full swing right now. It's time for the boys to start as well. And at this point, Phil, we know who's in and we know who's out.
Yeah, we'll start with 2-6A actually. Of course, Friendship and Coronado will have games upcoming. And now Monterey is the local team that didn't make the postseason. And this is a team that I thought had enormous potential going into district play. If you recall back at the Caprock Classic, in one of the games there, they led Estacado by 17 points, which was a really impressive showing. I recall the first game I covered Monterey this year, I sat with David Chapman, in his office for about half an hour. We talked about how he was from New Mexico and the whole boys basketball circuit being really competitive there. I just got the impression that he really cares for this team and loves this group. Unfortunately, it looks like they've let him down a little bit. Excuse me. Two of the players that are really strong, Demore Robinson and Russell Harrison, they were actually no longer part of the team for the latter half of district play. Robinson entirely and Harrison was not permitted to play. That's why Monterey struggled to score so much, and it really hurt them.
Absolutely, and unfortunate for Monterey. As for Friendship and Coronado, you look at those two teams, Phil, which one do you think has maybe a little bit more stoutness to it to make a run into the playoffs?
Friendship's issue right now is that Colin Houghton, who is a really dynamic forward for them, has a bit of a lower leg injury. Now, I'm told he's fine. He had been resting it. I guess we'll have to see. They have an excellent point guard who might be the best point guard in the area in Jackson Parrott. I mean, he is really dynamic. He's a really well-built kid, and he gets in the lane. He is outstanding. Long term, I like Coronado. Okay. I don't know how much they'll accomplish this year, but I've written this in the past. I think that they will be a serious player in the entire Region 1 next year because they return everybody, including those two great posting, Giddens and Step.
And as we saw last year, Region 1 now has West Texas influence. Amarillo made it to the state tournament, obviously. So Region 1 is somewhere you can win as a West Texas school. Coronado hoping to be the next one to do that. Down to Class 5A, some new names here. Plainview, Lubbock High, Cooper, all teams into the playoffs. Is there an X factor here potentially for one of these teams to make a nice run?
Generally speaking, Plainview has had that offense when you look at all their box scores for the entire year and you go, wow, they have absolutely no problem scoring at all. So I'm really confident in them. Cooper, I think, deserves credit for really progressing nicely and getting in here. But as far as the X factor, it has to be Jose Villalobos for Lubbock High. Now, he is their sophomore guard. He has been up and down. He has been our player of the week because of how phenomenally he has scored. Right. And he has also not started because he has missed practice. So we don't quite know what we'll see from Lubbock High. This team, if they get all their cylinders going, Will Perrin is another outstanding guard. The two of them are really hard to stop if they're there.
Absolutely. Down in 4A, Phil, Estacado we know about. Tony Wagner, another fine Matador basketball team. Is there another team we should be aware of in that class?
Yeah, this is one of the times where we try not to belabor the point about Estacado because we are pretty confident that moving forward there'll be a lot to discuss about them. I like Loveland a lot, and basically if you look at their resume and how they progressed, they had a very tight game against Estacado, practically a scare. I think that says a lot. And Lamesa too. Lamesa is a team that I plan on seeing Monday night. They've definitely flown under our radar. They managed to get in a very strong district, and I think they deserve credit for that.
In Class 3A, number 2 ranked team in the state, Phil, what makes them so dangerous?
Yeah, Brownfield is definitely outstanding here. They have potentially on their roster 2 Player of the Year candidates in Jacoby Hill and Jordan Demps. Jacoby Hill, not necessarily just for the scoring aspect, but because of how dominant he is in impacting the rest of the game. Jordan Demps is a little bit more of your spot-up shooter, but he's been so excellent about it. Now, the issue with that is Jacoby Hill, if we can't speak with him, which has been the case so far, he will be taken out of Player of the Year contention simply because this is not a professional setting or collegiate where we'll report around a player. I think that the community deserves to hear from the player that we would be giving that award to. So that's why Hill runs the risk of not getting that award if we cannot speak to him. But as I've written, I promise you every time we cover Brownfield, I will ask to get access to him to discuss basketball issues.
Because basketball issues are pertinent right now. Brownfield fell just short last year, and it has motivated them since that time. They want to be the team out of Region 1 to go to San Antonio. It's going to be interesting to see how they handle that pressure down the stretch. In Class 2A, Phil, Smyer, very good team. Brendan Fowler, outstanding player with a great supporting cast around him. We expect Smyer to be there in the final weeks. What are some of the other teams we better watch for down there?
I think Abernathy has had just a remarkable season, and when you watch them, they're not the biggest team, but I think they have very strong guard play and very tough guard play, and I think that in a class like that, you don't necessarily have to have those huge posts to be successful. I think if you can have excellent guard play with like a Garrett Royal leading the show, like a big physical guard that can penetrate, I mean, that's really how you'll have success.
Absolutely. And Phil, I don't want to minimize this, but TAPS. We talked about the girls last week and how many nice teams we have. Same thing on the boys' side. Some really good teams. Their postseason a little shorter. It gets serious in a hurry. We have state title contending teams here.
Oh, definitely. With Trinity Christian and Lubbock Christian now potentially on the boys and girls side there. There's also a couple of other area teams that are floating around, and it appears that they'll all be gathering down in Mansfield for what is the semifinals in TAPS. They happen on the same weekend, unlike the UIL, so we may potentially have 7 area teams down there, which is a lot, and we will definitely have that coverage for you on LoneStarVarsity.com.
And speaking of coverage, a wealth of other things people need to be aware of right now. Of course, the girls. We're going to know our regional contenders after this weekend. The boys will be down. We'll get them to the area round. So a lot of coverage coming up. And if that wasn't enough, Phil, baseball and softball have started on the South Plains as well.
Yeah, we had a bit of a softball preview that ran this week. We did a feature on Coronado, who is probably the strongest returning area team. You could throw Snyder into that mix as well. We did a whole series of players to watch. We'll be doing the same exact thing for baseball. Just to tease you a little bit, we'll be actually focusing on Plainview and Paxton Oldfield. Now, if you recall, he was their outstanding quarterback, had a meniscus, had to have that repaired, and is actually just got cleared yesterday to play. So really compelling stuff from Plainview and what they can accomplish in 4-5A.
Baseball, softball, basketball, state wrestling. Don Williams had a nice piece today. Go read that one. A ton of coverage coming up at LoneStarVarsity.com. Follow Phil Torino on Twitter. Go to Facebook. Like the Lone Star Varsity page. Hashtags, all that good stuff. Communicate with us. We'd love to hear from you. A ton of coverage coming up. For now, though, we're going to bid you farewell. That is Phil Torino. I am Zach Long, and you're on LoneStarVarsity.com.